time. It's our time, my friends. Time for millions of maturepreneurs, 55 plus, who are hashtag not done by a long shot, to revolutionize how we lead, do business, and innovate our world. I'm your host, Jeanette Anderson, and welcome to my conversations with fascinating people who would rather inspire than retire. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Maturepreneur podcast. I'm your hostess, Jeanette Anderson, and today I have the brilliant and ever so vivacious Coleen Stubbs with me. Hi, Coleen. I'm just saying that because she's got a sore back and not so much with the vivacious, but anyways, hi, welcome. I'm glad you're here today.
I am so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about a really important thing, how to simplify, automate, and delegate your business so you have time, energy, and funds to build a life that you're madly passionate about. So if you are an entrepreneur, you need to listen up. If you're not one yet, but you might become one, and by the way, that should be all of y'all, then you want to listen to this. And even just in your general life, it is actually very helpful to apply this at home with the family and in your business, because we all get overwhelmed. We all get too much. We all have ridiculous to-do lists, case in point, pages and pages. And we need to have a system that allows us to grow our business so that we are not burning out, checking out, and that we can actually have more impact in the world. So I'm glad you're here. We're going to talk about an important content, and I'm going to tell you Colleen's official bio. Then we're going to get all the juicy details behind the scene. I keep asking all my guests for like juicy, salacious details, and we never get any. So maybe Coleen will surprise us. We'll see.
For you. Hope you're ready.
Okay, good. Well, so with 37 years of in the trenches experience, Coleen Stubbs is the entrepreneur's secret weapon. She's built and sold 8 successful businesses by mastering one simple truth. You can't scale chaos. Amen, sister. Today, she helps maturepreneurs reclaim their time and multiply their revenue by implementing her signature Simplify, Automate, and Delegate system. She's not just teaching theory, she's providing the exact battle-tested checklist to transform your business from a cage to an asset. Get ready to stop being the bottleneck and start being the CEO. Love that. Okay, so that's great. I want to find out more about you, but before we do that, Simplify, Automate, and Delegate is a really good system, but it has an unfortunate acronym because it spells SAD. Is it just because you're sad if you don't do that?
I never even looked at that.
I know. Simplify, Automate, Delegate, SAD. So I thought it makes me sad if you don't delegate, if you don't do that. That's what you are. Anyways, okay. So Coleen, tell us something about you that would surprise even your closest friend.
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
My mom was a go-go dancer.
Okay.
My dad was her client.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that. Okay, that's a good way to meet. I love that. Okay, and go-go dancer is like actually go-go dancer, kind of like back in the
go-go dancer in a strip club in Orlando.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born in 1970, so back in the 60s, right?
Okay, yep. Awesome.
And they put up all the kids that they had, my mom or my dad had, they actually put up for adoption, except for one daughter named Sparkle that they kept. So I was put up for adoption and adopted into a different class.
Interesting.
Class of family, yeah, where I really learned to be organized and articulate not only my thoughts but my actions and make sure that the things that I did aligned with the life that I wanted. And I was taught that from a really young age. I think my mom enrolled us in the Zig Ziglar Up With People program when I was like 5 or 6. And we worked on this every night for years. And I think really it's a gift because she adopted 4 children that were needy children. Yep. My sister and I had the same mom, but different dads. And then my brothers came from different depressed situations. But she really knew that we needed the mindset and we needed to be able to find value and self-love instead of looking elsewhere for it. And so that's really one of the greatest gifts she gave us, was really to make sure that we were grounded in those things.
That's an incredible story, the whole from beginning to end. So, first of all, you've got somewhere in you, deep in you, great go-go dancer genes. So you can you can call on that when you need to. And you were blessed with a really incredible adoption situation that person, that family sounded like they had tremendously big hearts to take in for such, demanding children situations and then give you such a great start in life. That's amazing. So do you still see that family? Are you still connected with that family closely?
They've all passed, actually. I am the
Oh,
last remainder, but in the last, since my mom passed 3 years ago, I've really become very aware of the power of what she did.
mm,
Things like I've never been afraid of failure. I've never seen failure as a stumbling block. I've always seen it as a stepping stool. And just I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they were saying, well, the challenge this week is to do the things in public that you would do in private. So make sure that you have integrity. And I'm like, why is this even a question? Like,
mm,
weren't we raised that, like, just use the Ten Commandments? If you
yeah,
agree that you're going to live by the Ten Commandments your whole life, then you never find yourself in a position where, like, should I kill this person? Because it doesn't become a question. You already
yeah,
decided as a person that you're not that person.
yeah.
And so I decided as a young child I was going to live with integrity. And so I never even questioned, should I have integrity in my interactions?
That's so amazing. And yeah, it is unfortunate that that is a question that people have to do reminders. Although I always question the fact that if you're reminding someone of this, will it even register? Like, does it? Because if you have to tell them that, it's not in their frame of reference. And so will it land? And maybe sometimes it does, maybe sometimes it doesn't. But that's amazing, and it's unfortunate that they've all passed, but you're carrying on this beautiful tradition and passing it on to your clients. So on that note, I forgot to mention to you, one of the other things that we do on this is we ask you your why. Why do you do what you do? So your purpose in life. So not what do you do? We'll get to that. Not how do you do it, but why do you do what you do?
The biggest reason that is my why, and I guess it's kind of twofold. First is that the most valuable moments I have in my life are the ones that I can't replace. I can't replicate. I can't go back and make that happen again. And I missed out on so many moments building businesses because I did everything in my business. As and so I want other women to not miss out on those things, the things that actually matter in life. That's my first one. My second one is that when my mom passed, it was during COVID. My youngest child moved out, so many life changes, and I found myself waking up without purpose. And I know that I'm not the only midlife woman who woke up and went, what am I going to do today? Does it make a difference if I do anything? And
Mm,
so be able to help women build both a business and a life that they're madly passionate about gives them purpose. And
mhm.
that feeling of not having purpose, if you haven't experienced it, it's actually quite horrible. I like laid in bed and I'm like, it doesn't matter if I get up and clean my house. Nobody is going to notice if I get up out of bed.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that is a disparaging thought. And so to be able to give people, help them find their purpose and help them simplify things so that it's sustainable. So they have a sustainable business and they're building a life they actually love is a huge motivating factor in what I do.
So I think that's a lovely intention and a lovely purpose. And I really want to come back to one of the lines that you said during that. But that's what you do. Why do you care so much about it? So I know part of it
That's
is that you went through it, and but what does it do for you to do this work?
Well, number one, it gives me purpose, but I have always been a lover of the underdog. And I was thinking about this earlier. There's just no other way to say it. I just, I get so deeply offended when people get hurt. And it doesn't matter if I'm watching cops on TV and they're arresting somebody. If they're hurt, it's deeply offensive to me. And I just don't want women to experience that. I do that to remove that so that if I can be bring a little light and sunshine to somebody's life, then it brings me great joy.
Mm,
But the flip side of that is it gives me purpose,
mm,
right? And keeps me in line, building a life I love, building a business I love, keeps me lined out with not missing the moments that matter. And that's why I want to be present. I want to have a purpose, and I want to help other people have that.
mm. Yeah, yeah, I understand. So it helps you be present in the moment and have a reason to get up in the morning and not miss out on your life because, we often teach what we most want to learn or what we most long for. My definition of your why is the intersection between what we're healing from the past and what we long for the future for ourselves and others. And yeah, I really hear that longing for you to not miss out on any more moments that matter.
Absolutely. You nailed it right. That's a perfect intersection, and it encapsulates it perfectly.
Yeah. So your comment, your line about does it make a difference if I don't do anything? Um, does it really make a difference to anyone if I don't do anything? Is really poignant, and I can feel this despair. Been there, had that experience in my life. Um, what did you do to get through that to the other side? Because there
Honestly,
are people listening right now who are in that inquiry of now what? Who am I now that I'm not whatever I've been? What's next? Society tells me I'm done. I don't feel done. And some of them may be in that point of despair of why bother? Why, does it really matter? Do I really ultimately, do I matter? So how did you get through that?
right? And I think that the basis of me getting through that is to really embrace having a servant's heart. I felt like in many times in my life, I've been in different situations where I knew that if I would focus on serving somebody else, that it would diminish the feeling of my problems, right? It would lessen them. I would be more broadly aware of other people's problems, and that diminishes what I'm feeling or going through greatly when I can see how blessed I truly am in comparison to. And so, really having a servant's heart, getting through that meant me diving in and really working to build a business by serving other people, by helping them elevate their life, and helping them understand that they can do both, that they don't have to be tied to a 9 to 5 or tied to working all the time and missing out on things, but really helping them to get back into that finding joy and getting the joy out of the moments that they're no longer missing because I've helped them along the way. And so for me, it was, and it always has been, just having a servant's heart. At one point, my husband moved for business, and we moved into a community where I literally knew nobody, and it was sad for me. My kids made
Mhm.
friends right away, but I was at home and I just didn't really have a way of making friends. And so I actually went on the community Facebook group and posted, "Hey, can I do anything for you today? Can I stop and pick up your mail? Do you need me to pet sit? Do you want me to come walk your dog? Do you want me to run grab you a Coke and bring it to you? Maybe you're stuck in the house. You really would love a Coke from Sonic. Can I help you in any way?" And so that fortified my decision to really serve. And when I serve, then the rest of it gets smaller. Your burdens get smaller, right?
Hmm. That's amazing. Did people take you up on that offer, by the way?
They did actually. I made some great friends that way. And it's
Oh,
funny because I was talking to one lady and she had me just pick up a package for her from the post office and take it to her. And then the relationship graduated. We ended up going to lunch a few times and became really good friends. And I picked her kids up from school. And I told her when I picked her kids up one time, I said, I had thought about starting that post with, "Can I pick your kids up from school?" And then I realized that was really weird, right? But her daughter actually ended up marrying my son. So good
oh
story.
my goodness. That's
Yeah,
amazing. Okay,
yeah,
so all sorts of things come out of you being willing to serve. Okay, that's a really amazing way to take small action on something and an intention, because a lot of people might go, okay, yeah, serve, but how? Just put it out there, literally offer to strangers to help them. That's brilliant. And how did you then make the transition into your business? So how did, doing things for free for people become your business?
right. And so I came online and actually started coaching women and building businesses because I knew all things business and I was doing that for free. And that unveiled to me a problem that I saw over and over and over again. And that was that these women were 45 and older and not wanting to learn tech. So they may want to build a business, but when it came to the tech, even if they found something that they could monetize and they really loved, when it came to the tech, they just were out. They were like, that's a deal breaker. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so I decided that, and this is how I built all my businesses, is I really just dove into there's a problem, let me create a solution for it. And so I created a solution and then monetized the solution.
Okay, awesome. I love that. Okay, so you mentioned all your businesses. Tell us what kind of businesses you've had.
Oh, good golly. So we've done monthly rentals, like homes and apartments we rented out that we bought and rented out to people. We have had I built a children's clothing manufacturing company. Um, and that came from the fact that my daughter needed a black skirt for a bells and choir concert when she was 4, and all I could find was a leather miniskirt, which didn't work for me. So I took her and laid her out on a poster board and drew her little body out and bought some material to sew, and then decided we should have. She wanted big pockets on it, and I couldn't do them on that. But I thought, you know what, we could really build something that the kids love, the parents love, is modest, is versatile. So built out character kits is what that business was called. Another one I had was repeatables, and I would buy name brand clothing and toys in Las Vegas and drive them up to Southern Utah and resell them during the week. I
Okay.
have scrapbook stores, home decor stores. I did custom scrapbooking for people. I had an upscale boutique. I had 4 Airbnbs, just a variety, whatever I saw a need for.
Okay. Well, and I think that's always a brilliant place to start for what kind of business do I want to do. I think it does also need to intersect with not only is there a need, but is there, what kind of supply is it? Is the market to a red ocean or a blue ocean? Is it too inundated or is there room? And do you love it? Do you love doing that thing? Or in your case, do you love building a business? Because there's different aspects of running a business. There's as my friend of mine, Michael Gerber says, there's three legs on the stool: the technician, the person who does the thing, does the coaching, etc., the manager, the person who runs the infrastructure of the business so that the coach can coach, and the visionary, the person who's the big picture person, the strategist, the thinker. And you have to have all three, and most people can't be all three. And so it sounds like you are definitely the manager who knows how to create the infrastructure of the business so it supports people in doing what they want to do. Is that your strength, or are you one of the others and you develop that strength?
For years I did all of it.
Hmm.
And that was the problem. That was the breaking point, was doing it all because it causes burnout.
Yeah.
But I love to, yes, be the manager and put it all together and then have the vision for how it should all run, how it all can run, and then allow people to come in and do the different parts and really encourage them to shine in their position that they're in within the business.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about your business and what you do, and then let's talk about tech and your, simplify, automate, delegates ideas. So, what is your business now? What do you do?
Right. So I'm the founder of Simplified CEO Systems,
Mhm.
and I help midlife entrepreneurs simplify their business so that they can lead with clarity instead of chaos. So
Okay, great.
I,
So, what's that mean? So,
that
what do you?
that means that I white label, go high level, and I teach my clients how to simplify their business, which means only doing the things that need to be done, um, how and what to automate so they aren't doing everything. And then also, not only what they should delegate, but what they actually need to do themselves, what needs their personal stamp on it, right? And so it's that 3 layers: the simplify, automate, and delegate.
Mm. So, Go High Level, for those of you who don't know, is an all-in-one system that includes a CRM and a bunch of ability to automate various and sundry things. It's a system I use. It's highly popular right now. And like all-in-one systems, it's got its pros, it's got its cons, and can be complex to learn initially. Once you know how to do anything, whether it's your email or sending a text or running a all-in-one system, then it's easy. When you don't know, then it feels like it's hard. So do you love technology?
I did not love technology, and I didn't know anything about technology until I started this 2.5 years ago.
Okay, great. So there's another tip for you. You can see a need, not have the skills necessary, but still fill that need. So then I'm assuming, of course, you went out and got teams and people who did know the technology so that you could get things done. Or did you learn it all yourself first?
I learned it all myself first.
Okay, so you can figure out how to delegate and manage the system. Okay, great. So tell us the kinds of things that people get really overwhelmed with, and you because you mentioned tech, but that's pretty broad. So when it comes to starting a business, many people think there's so much that they have to do, but there's really not, right? So for let's say let's keep it to service businesses for the moment, because most people are likely going to start with a service business. A bricks and mortar or an online store or something like that has different requirements. But let's talk about a service business. What are some of the basics that people need?
Well, I would say there are two main ones. Well, three. Let's say that you need to build relationships, first of all. You need to have and deliver an excellent product or service. And then you need to have the follow-up. And I think follow-up goes hand in hand with building the relationship, right? And so you need to continually nurture that relationship.
Okay. Well, and deliver the product, service, and collect the money. You need the ability to collect the money
Yeah,
too. Okay.
that would go
Uh,
in there.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what your system is first, and then how do we apply it to those kind of categories. So let's talk about simplify because that sounds very simple, but there's a lot that we do in a day. So how do we simplify? Because, I literally have a spreadsheet open on my projects to do this quarter, and there's like 38 or 40 things to check off, and some of them are big, like build a website.
Right. Right. And so one of the things that you're definitely going to want to ask yourself is like, does this really need done? If it
Mhm,
doesn't have to be done, then why are we doing it? And
mhm.
that's actually a big thing because if it's not something that has to be done, then why waste the time? You really can spend a lot of time just doing busy things. But here's the thing, being busy isn't the same as being productive.
Right. Not at
Right.
all.
And
Right.
so if you're wondering if you have to do something, if it's something that has to be done to keep your business afloat, remove it. Say, okay, let's envision the week without this happening.
Hmm.
How is the business going to run then?
Right.
Will it still run well? Will it still run smooth? Is this just something I'm doing because I think I have to, right?
Yeah. Or I should, or someone told me I need it,
Somebody
or
told me I need to is a big one. People
yeah.
get caught on that a lot. Like, well, they said I have to do it this way,
Yeah.
or I have to do this so many times before I can do the next thing.
Yeah.
I had one client who said, well, I can't start selling things until I've been in business for 3 months. And I'm like, why?
Hi.
Like,
Yeah,
well, that's,
exactly.
and I'm like, okay, so if you have a bakery,
Yeah.
you could open at 9, but you're not going to sell anything until noon.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You're building a business. So absolutely you can start selling,
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
In fact, that should be the very first thing you do, because you got to prove whether or not your product or service is desirable. So you should be selling your product and service a lot before you build anything else.
right.
Okay, so ask whether or not it needs to be done. And like you said, and you addressed, most of us would say, oh, yeah, it's all important, it's all necessary. But really, I like the test of what happens if we don't do it for a week, then what happens to the business. That's a good general test. Okay, and what are some other ways to simplify? Because I know I am really good at making things complex.
Yeah. And so one thing is to also ask, is it directly tied to relationship or revenue?
Okay,
And if it's
relationship or revenue.
and if it's not, then there's no reason to do it. Are you updating your website because this is what's hip? And so you're going to spend 10 hours this week doing that? Not
Yeah.
necessarily.
Okay. So relationship or revenue. Now I'm going through my head and thinking, okay, of all of the things that I need to do, like pay my VAs and update my Google My Business or whatever, they may not seem to be tied directly to revenue, but in some cases they are. They're ways for prospects to find me. Um, I'm trying to think of other things that are not tied to relationship or revenue.
Well,
Um,
let's take your Google My Business profile, right? And
okay.
so if you were to simplify this or have a process in place,
Yeah.
then you can say that once every 3 months, it's on the calendar that
Yeah.
at this day and this time you go in and you update that a little bit. You go in and just check it, even is really good to make sure everything is running smoothly.
Hmm.
Make sure that the people who are turning in reviews that they're getting on there, that kind of thing. But put it on a time frame so it's not something that you're looking at all the time, but it's in a system where you're doing it at a set day and time every set so often.
Okay. All right. So, and speaking of systems, a lot of times I love creating systems for other people. I hate following systems myself. Like I have this beautiful spreadsheet. I was just looking at our project completion list to see if there were things on there that was not revenue or relationships. And really, ultimately, almost everything ties back to that in some way. If you're marketing a workshop, it's about both. If you're creating content, it's ultimately to develop connections and relationships and to drive prospects through your funnel. So it's pretty much all related to marketing, sales. Some of course is admin, but even that is related to how can you serve your customers? How do you make sure that you've got a structure that allows you to deliver that kind of thing? So I forgot my question now because I babbled too
Well,
much.
let's go back a little bit to this. If it's
Oh,
repetitive,
system. Yeah,
if it's repetitive, then it needs to come off of that list. If it's draining, but you're doing it because somebody has to do it,
yeah.
or if it's something that you're making people check in with you on, then
Okay.
that can also be simplified.
Okay, so let's go through all kids. I thought you were going to say automated, but let's go through all three of those. So repetitive tasks. What's a way to both simplify and automate that? So let's say something like checking my Google My Business. May not be able to be automated, but you just mentioned put it in your calendar for something to do every month kind of thing. But let's talk about, let's say, um, updating my newsletter every week.
Okay. And so that's something that can be both simplified and automated. And so by simplified, I mean that you make sure that you're doing it the simplest format as possible. And so you have a template that you're just cloning instead of recreating each week. Make sure that you're just able to hit clone and
Hmm.
then you just take a few minutes to edit it. Now you may create the content for your newsletter 3 months in advance or for parts of your newsletter 3 months in advance and have those on a Google Sheet that you
Hmm.
can just copy and paste them into there and then automate it, right?
Okay. And
That's a
so, and what, sorry?
that's a combination one. You're going to
Right.
simplify the process of getting it done, and then you're
Yep.
going to automate the actual action of carrying it out.
Okay. And so automation is, like you said, a daunting word for some people. It seems like there's so much we have to do. We have to set up funnels and landing pages and opt-ins. Oh my. Tell us what the important things to automate are when you're starting out.
I would automate anything that you're doing more than 3 times a week.
Okay.
And so by automate, that simply means to get on an automatic scheduler so it's happening automatically. And the important things very first are going to be building your relationships, so your follow up. And one of the things to remember with automation is generally you can set it and forget it, which means you do it once, you create it, get
Hmm.
it in place, and it does it automatically. Now, let's say that you have automation in place for a summit or an event that you're going to hold. That should be able to easily be cloned, edited, and automated on the next system as well, next summit or event as well.
Hmm.
And so even though you have it one and done for this summit or event, then you hold another one, you just clone it and edit it for the next one. And it's a lot quicker than creating from scratch a whole new setup, right?
Right. Right.
So that's part of the simplification that goes hand in hand with the automation.
So, what would you say to people? Because when we're especially talking for people who are starting out, are the key automations they need to have? So, for instance, I would recommend an online calendar so people can book time with you. You need an email system of some kind. What do people need as the basics when they're starting out a service business, let's say?
Yeah, and I would also say in the service business that you would want to be able to have your contracts already created so that you can just clone those, duplicate those, fill in the details. So you're not rewriting every time. And it doesn't mean that it can't be specific to a situation, a person, or a relationship. It just means that you have the basic there so you can go in and edit specific to the person, situation, or relationship. So
Okay.
you want to automate that.
Hmm.
Um, automate, of course, your calendar needs done, and then have a follow-up system in place because this is what I see so many people. They go to the meetings, they do these things, but they don't have a follow-up automation in place.
Right.
And follow-up automation in place means that they just have an email that goes back out afterwards, thanks the person for meeting with them, the details of it, that kind of thing, or a marking them as no show.
Hmm.
And you just can go in and do that quickly in the appointment from the person on your CRM to trigger that automation to go.
Okay. So you're talking about your customer relationship management tool like Go High Level, or, there's a bunch of them out there. I was with Cartra and then moved over, and there's all sorts of other ones. So I actually found in Go High Level contact management and follow up and reporting and capturing the information I wanted to capture quite hard. So we created a custom form or a sheet that I fill in for leads that will then generate a report. And like I said, I like creating systems for other people. I don't like using them, so it's complex. So I often don't use it. However, if I did, it would be very, very helpful. So I actually have an intention to start using it starting this week more for all my new calls. But what is when you say follow up, besides an automated email that might go out to say, hey, it was great to meet you or something like that, what is a way to track and follow up? Like you said, a lot of people go to so I went to a networking event not too long ago, Chamber of Commerce, and followed up with a couple of specific people, but then it got off my radar and I didn't follow up again with someone who was really important. So what's the way to kind of create a simple follow-up system? Because you're right, that's where most people, it falls through the cracks and we lose most of our sales that way. So
Right.
what do you do?
And so I have for networking specifically, when you network, there are some people that you feel like, hey, this would be a great collaboration opportunity, or I really like this person as a referral partner. So not only am I after my meeting or meeting with these people in a one-on-one, I mark them according to what they would be, but tagging them according to those things puts them into a workflow. And so that workflow for a referral partner might be that 3 weeks out, I get a reminder to reach out to them and schedule a call. Now this is going to be a different reach out because it's a referral partner. It holds a little more weight and a little more value.
Mm,
And so maybe somebody that I'm going to actually reach out to in a DM and say, "Hey, I'm ready to hop on another call with you. Just want to check and see where you're at in life and see how I can best help you." But it's actually more of a more personable. And
hmm.
there's a handful, only a handful of people that you want to do that one with, but you can automate the reminder to do that.
Hmm.
And so
Okay.
that's a big one. And then even just ones where maybe you want to say a client who says, this isn't a good fit for me right now, but I'm thinking that probably come summer, I'm going to be ready to jump in and revamp my website. And
Hmm.
maybe you're the one who does the website building. And so just having that go in there and put in 3 months, follow up with them and put in your notes on your CRM. There's a place where you can put the notes that say, hey, they said in summer they'd be ready. So when it comes time to do that, you're ready to go in and look and say, hey, you
Hmm.
did say get back with you at the beginning of the summer. What does your summer look like? Does it look like we can get together?
Right.
Something like that. So really just making your CRM and your system work for you and with you
Right.
in a way that's personable and really meets your needs. Not everybody has the same needs, but really the follow up is huge. And also, I would say I like to follow up immediately following a call. It puts you in um, a position of authority and lets the people know that it was valuable. You enjoyed the call, even if it's just your ordinary follow up where, hey, thanks for meeting me with me. I appreciate your time. This is what I drew from the meeting. If there's anything I can do, please reach out. That's not putting them on the we're going to be collaboration partners or something like that. It's a little more low key than that, but just following up immediately, that consistency.
Right. Okay. And things like that. So, for instance, when I do a discovery call or a networking call, I have on my calendar an automated follow-up email that goes out and says, "Hey, it was great to meet you, and let me know if you have any questions or thoughts after our meeting." And I forget what else it says, but something like that. And it goes out automatically after the meeting. And you can automate different kinds of meetings with different kinds of follow-ups. So, with my clients, they sometimes get a follow-up message that says, "How was your call? How is this working for you? Is there anything you need adjusted in our coaching work?" That kind of thing. Okay, and let's talk about the third one, delegate, because this is an area where a lot of people get squirrely and can be very challenging. And I find often actually try to do it prematurely. So they aren't clear on what to delegate, and they're actually abdicating on delegating. They're getting rid of all the things they don't want to do and hoping and praying that person will do it properly. But in most cases, they don't because they aren't given the kind of leadership and direction that they need. So, talk about delegation. When do we do it and how do we do it?
Right. And so you are absolutely correct on that. There are so many people that just jump into it, and they dump the things they don't want to do. And that's not necessarily a recipe for success because sometimes, as the CEO of your business, you have to do things you don't want to do, that you don't love, maybe you're not good at. Some of those things actually need your personal touch, and it's important that you do those. Now, I will say that as far as having people do them correctly, it is so important to create standard operating procedures.
Hmm.
And it's easy nowadays to do that. You can create a Loom video showing exactly what you're doing, or any kind of video, exactly what you're doing as you're doing it, so
Hmm.
that they can do it correctly. You can also take the transcript from that and create a checklist that shows them how to do things. And then there needs to be clarity and checkbacks, especially in the very beginning. And so probably the first 3 months of somebody doing something, you need to, be aware of what they're doing and then be willing to meet with them and say, "I don't think I was clear. How can I clarify this so that you're doing it more like this, or this?" And then go update your SOP, update your video so that it speaks to them correctly and they understand it,
Hmm.
because that's just communication. And that is a skill that can absolutely be taught and learned. And so just communicating and getting your SOP down really good so that they know
Hmm.
exactly what to do, that
Yeah,
standard operating procedure can really make or break a business.
right. And so when should people delegate?
I feel like when you are looking at a task, and let's take the CEO who's taking out the trash, not that the CEO shouldn't take out the trash or shouldn't know how to take out the trash. As a CEO, you should know how to do all of the things. But if you're making less money taking out the trash, doing a $10 job or $20 job, an hour job, then if you're coaching and making $500 an hour, it's obviously time to hire somebody to take out the trash,
Right,
because you can get on more coaching calls and increase the revenue and make more than enough to pay somebody to do the things that you're delegating to them.
right.
And so while it's important that you know how to do all those things, it's also important to know how to let go of doing those things.
That's a really big skill. And for many entrepreneurs, they tend to be entrepreneurs because they are control freaks, or they love to be in charge, or they think they can do it better than everyone else, or they just are unmanageable. I fit in all of the above categories. And so I've been an entrepreneur for the better part of 40 years plus. Um, I see a lot of people delegating too early when they aren't clear on what needs to be done because they think if I delegate all this stuff, then I'll have time to go and get coaching clients and so forth, which can be true, but you better have some money to back that up because if you're planning to do that from cash flow, that's not the right order.
Right. And I agree with that on multiple levels. First, I'm going to say that it's always important that if you are going to delegate, that you delegate the very best person that you can afford, hire them to do things,
Hmm.
um, because you want somebody who's really good. What happens when like, if you're the center of your business, then you shine a certain light, right? And you're doing all the things, and in the background, you're getting burned out from doing all the things. If you delegate to somebody who is really good at what they do, and you delegate this to somebody who's really good at what they do, suddenly your light is brighter because you've surrounded yourself with experts at what they're doing. It also becomes easier to trust them because you've hired the best, not hired the cheapest and tried to train them.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think you really need to hire for attitude and communication and willingness and qualities or characteristic traits rather than skills, because skills can be trained, but character can't be.
I love
And
that.
I've gone through a lot of VAs over the years and virtual assistants from various different countries. And communicate, really got to know the communication culture of that country. Because, for instance, in especially India and Pakistan and somewhat in the Philippines, they are trained not to say no. That's not part of their culture. And so they'll say yes when they don't mean yes.
Right.
So you got to know and really understand who you're working with, and set up a culture where the communication is really clear and you check on it so that you are not setting yourself and them up for failure, and understanding where their desire is as well. Because if you keep delegating something to someone that they hate, they're going to
Right.
avoid it, right? Just like you do. So there's a bunch of different components to that that I think is really important. Don't hire too soon, because not only it feels good to say I've got this team and I can delegate all my social media to them, or I can delegate all the, God forbid, sales to them, but it's often premature, and it's often you don't understand what you're managing. And if you don't understand what you're managing, then how are you going to get the results that you want? So that's part of why we need to do it at least a bit ourselves before we delegate it, because you can't manage what you don't know how to do. At
Right. I
least
would agree with that. And I think that the Hilton is the company that says that they hire good people. They
mhm.
never once hired somebody to make beds.
Yeah,
They hired good people.
yeah.
And that is hugely important, especially in the online world. You don't want shady people working with you or people who are unmotivated. I will say, if we have time, I'd like to share a little story.
Sure.
Um, when I had my boutique,
Yep.
I that was my business number 7, and I decided I was going to do things different. And so instead of hiring people for a position, I hired them as a team member. I
Mhm.
would watch them work for 2 weeks, and I would watch very carefully and see what lit them up, what they loved,
Mhm.
and then meet with them after 2 weeks. And I didn't let them know ahead of time that this is what I was doing, but I'd meet with them after 2 weeks and say, "What do you like doing the most?" And I always knew 100% of the time, I knew exactly what they loved doing the most.
Mhm.
And then I put them in that.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
when they're doing something, it's no different than you or I. When they're doing something they love, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like a chore. They're not going to slough. There's a lot less chance that they're going to make mistakes. And if they do, they're definitely going to own it because they love what they're doing.
Right.
And so I think positioning people that way. And then back to what you said about money. I advise all of my clients to have, and this is what I've done in my business. And I've had people say, well, that's not reasonable. Well, then find another way that is reasonable for you. But I advise people to, and this is what I've done, have enough money to run your business for a year before
Wow.
you dive in and open. And here's the reason. For instance, with my boutique, I made sure I had enough money in there to pay all of my bills, to pay 40 hours a week and help. So I had
Mhm.
somebody in there constantly to help as hired help, but pay insurance, pay power, pay my building insurance. I bought my building, all of those things. And what that did was that relieved the money thought from my mind.
Mm.
I didn't start my day going, I need to make $800 today to meet my goal, to stay open, to whatever. At the end of a year, I would go look at my bank account and make sure everything was in the good and could we still stay open? And
Mhm.
every single time I'm able to, because the freedom that that gives you when you're not worried about the finances is the freedom that you need to go be authentic and build good relationships.
Mm. Yeah.
Focus on building those relationships. And when you can do that, the rest falls into place. Now, I know that that's a privilege that I had to be able to do that, but there are ways to figure that out. If that means you're running or working your 9 to 5 still to pay for that, whatever that looks like, so that you're not worried about, am I going to have to close?
Right.
Because that brings a different stress level and doesn't allow you to present as your best self.
Yeah, then you're coming from scarcity. And the other reality of that is it often takes a lot longer to build a business than to get it profitable so that it replaces your level of income than people think. And people will tell you, oh, you can, be generating revenue in 3 months or 6 months or something. Some people, yes, perhaps, not often. And enough revenue to replace your income, almost never. So it takes a good anywhere from 12 to 24 months to get a business really running, profitable, making money. Sometimes even longer, by the way, until you're, really earning six figures and above. And people won't tell you that. They will blow sunshine up your skirt and tell you that you're the exception to the rule. And maybe you are, my friends, but maybe not. And I don't say that to scare you off of entrepreneurship, but to have you, like Colleen just said, approach it wisely, advisedly, have a plan in place, keep your day job, have a part-time job, get funding, get, some kind of security in place, something that allows you to be able to do that. Because I've been there, done that when I don't have that fallback and it's stressful as shit, but it also makes you show up differently in your business in a way that's not as effective. So, yeah.
Right. Right. I agree with that.
Great advice, great advice. And people are afraid to say you need to have that much money set aside. But really, it's good advice. Okay, well, I could talk to you forever. One more question that you've mentioned relationships a few times, and that word makes me twitch a little bit because a lot of times, especially women entrepreneurs, think that being relationship means that I never ask for the sale. It means that I'm just becoming their best friend. It means talking to them forever and adding value and adding value and adding value and never actually closing. So tell me what you mean by the word relationship, because that can get people really off track.
Okay. And so I would say, let's start with this. If you have a service or a product that you believe in and you know that it's a solution for a certain problem, and you know somebody who has that problem, then I would say to not share that opportunity for them to better themselves, better their business, whatever that looks like, is awfully greedy and self-centered of you.
Hmm.
Not saying that all these people are going to take you up on it,
Right.
but I'm saying that you know this and you have to have a level of a relationship where you know that there's a problem
Hmm.
and they trust you enough that they're going to trust your advice and understand your solution so your communication is clear and you're communicating on the same level so they understand that. A lot of that is built through and developed through relationship building. And so when you build that relationship, being able to communicate with them and just share as
Hmm.
if you were sharing with your best friend, look, I see this problem in your business and I think that this is a really great solution, and just really being able to share that. It's never stopped me, but then there's also a level of respect that you have for any relationship where if they say no thank you, you still can continue to nurture that relationship and be friends, and then maybe it'll come back around when they see that it's successful at other people or they see the difference it's making in other businesses. But being able to be respectful enough to back away if they say no, but still being able to really share that because you have a vested interest in the betterment of their business and their life.
Right. So what I hear is in the relationship, be really curious, find out who they are, what they need, and be listening for how can I be of service. It might be through your own solution. It might be through referring them to someone else or whatever. That relationship is really a relationship of curiosity, service, cooperation, and figuring out, coming from that really bigger perspective of how do we create win-wins? How do we lift everyone up? Because that, rising tide raises all boats idea. And so I really do appreciate your perspective on that servant's heart of coming from curiosity about how can I be of service? How can I help them? And understanding them is part of developing that relationship, understanding them, their needs, their desires, their hopes, etc. All right. So you have, speaking of systems that help people simplify, you have a gift for people. What is that?
I do. I have a checklist, and I know you guys are probably like, oh, a checklist. This is a great checklist. It actually really walks you through step by step, simplifying, automating, and delegating. And
Yep.
then, of course, anytime somebody needs help going through this, or if you open it and like, this is so much, then let's jump on a call. I'm happy to work through it with you and really just share a different perspective with you so that you can see how to really put these steps into play in your life and in your business because they work for both, right?
Love it.
As far as your personal life, it's like maybe you don't need to be the one to clean the toilet. Does the toilet really care if you cleaned it?
Yeah.
No, the point is it needs to be clean.
Right.
So there are things you can simplify, automate, delegate in your life.
I love it. Okay. Thank you. So, how do they? Well, first of all, you can go and get it from the vault. So, when you opt into the vault, That is our gift goodie bag area that you can go and get all of the lead magnets or valuable tools from our previous guests on the podcast. So you can go in and download 20, 30 awesome gifts if you want. For sure, go and get Colleen's checklist. And where else, just in case they aren't able to get into the vault for some reason, where else can they get that?
Sure. Well, they can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or they can go to my website. So simplifyceosystems.com.
Simplifyceosystems.com. And it's there that they can opt in. It's easy to find the opt-in for that checklist.
It is. I will double check if it's
Okay.
not.
Okay. I think it's /simplify/automate/delegate.
Dash. Yeah, it's you're absolutely right. So it's simplifiedceosystems.com/simplify-automate-delegate.
Dash. No dash at the end. So that's, and I just recommend that you go into the vault and get a whole bunch of goodies, including Colleen's. And that way you can see if there's other episodes that you missed that you might want to catch up on as well. Please do subscribe to the show. Please do leave us comments. I really appreciate that. And it helps me both know what you appreciate, what you like, what you'd like to see more of, what didn't work for you. I do appreciate your feedback, either to me personally or on the podcast or platform of your choice. YouTube, we have the videos, and we are on audio on all of your favorite podcast platforms. So please do subscribe and share and comment and just show us some love. We want to get this podcast in the hands of many, 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 many people who are too inspired to retire, so that you and they know it's never too late, as long as you're on this side of the dirt, to be the difference that only you can be, my friends. All right, Coleen, what's one last piece of advice you'd like to leave people with?
I just want you to know that it is absolutely possible to have both a business and a life that you're madly passionate about. If you need help with that, reach out. Happy to help everybody.
Love it. Thank you. Have a wonderful week, everybody. And just contemplate, do I have a life and a business I'm passionate about? If not, what are you going to do about it? Because there's no point in not having that be your reality. Bye for now. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening. I'd love it if you left a comment and subscribed. And I encourage you to apply one aha from this interview right away, so you can turn your wisdom into wealth and your contribution into positive change. Bye for now.